What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be ranking the NFC East by position and seeing where the Giants fall. I don't want to waste any time, so let's get right into it. We're going to start off here with special teams, and as you can see, I have the rankings on the left, and then I have the three best players on the right. So I have Washington, then the Giants, then the Eagles, and then the Cowboys. I just have this for kickers and punters. It's not ranking returners or overall units, just the kickers and punters. And Washington has the best combination of the two. And then next you have the Giants. Graham Gano is like the second best kicker in the NFL, and they have Jamie Gillen. Cowboys actually don't really have either, so that's why I put them last. And then the Eagles have Jake Elliott, but they don't even have a punter right now, so they're third. For safety, I do have the Dallas Cowboys as the best team in the division. They have Donovan Wilson and Jaron Kearse. That's a pretty solid starting duo. Giants have Xavier McKinney and Jason Pinnock. Washington has Cameron Curl and Derek Forrest, and Philly has Terrell Edmonds and Reed Blankenship. Philly lost both their starters, that's why they're in last place. It's still a good defense, obviously. It's still a good pair. I like Washington's duo too. Cowboys stand out the most, but the Giants aren't far behind them. Ooh, and this one hurts at cornerback. The Eagles are the best team. They have Big Play Slay and James Bradbury, who are both on the top 3 players list. You can see I actually have James Bradbury ahead of Darius Slay. I do think he's just going to play better this year, and Darius Slay might be heading for a decline. Not a major one, just enough that Bradbury can overtake him. And then I have Adoree Jackson as the third best corner in the division. I don't know who else. You can argue Stephon Gilmore, he's fallen. Kendall Fuller for Washington, he maybe, but that's just a Washington argument. I don't think anybody else would really make that argument. I think just Washington fans. I do think the Giants could be better overall than third in the division, just because you have guys like Trey Hawkins and Deonte Banks breaking out, and Adoree Jackson is one of the most underrated corners in the NFL. But yeah, it's definitely the Eagles at number 1. And middle linebacker is actually a lot closer than I thought it would be. I thought the Giants were by far the worst, but Bobby Okereke is probably the best in the division. You can see him up there with Leighton Vander Esch and Cody Barton, who Washington added this year. Washington has the best duo here. I think it's only the only duo that's really proven to be at least solid, with Jamin Davis over there too. But the Giants also have Isaiah Simmons and Mike McFadden. I like that. But then with Cowboys, you're kind of looking at a few guys going in there. I think they have DeMarvion Overshown, and Damon Clark. Not sure how to pronounce either of those, I guess. But yeah, I think there's also Zach Cunningham and Nakobe Dean on the Eagles. Those are 2 other guys I could have put in the top 3 in the division, but it's pretty close, so that's why you'll see the Giants at second here. And at edge, yep, Micah Parsons is the best edge. Then you have Hassan Reddick and DeMarcus Lawrence. Eagles are by far the best. Cowboys are there. Washington. A lot of people would put Washington over the Giants. I just don't love Chase Young. I liked him coming out of college. I thought he was going to be one of the best. He had a good rookie year, an overhyped rookie year. It wasn't, amazing by any means. And I just think after all these injuries, he's still kind of overhyped. I don't think he's going to be great this year. I do like the trio now, I guess, of Azeez Ojulari, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Boogie Basham. I like that better than Washington's, whatever you want to say, top 3 or so. I just like it better. D-line, here we go. Giants have the best D-line in the entire NFL, not even just the division, with Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, 2 top 3 players up there. You can see I could have put Daron Payne easily. I think a lot of people will be mad at me that I didn't put Daron Payne. I just think Leonard Williams is going to have a really good year. Last year was the first time he missed any games with injury, and I just think if we can get a healthy Leonard Williams with this new Dexter Lawrence that's broken out, I think he's going to benefit a lot from that. And he's not going to receive as many double teams. He's going to feast, and I really do think he's going to have a better year than Daron Payne. And just like last slide, where you could say the Giants had the best defensive line in all of football, not just the division, I think you can say the same about the Eagles' offensive line. It's still great. Travis Kelce, not Travis Kelce. Jason Kelce came back, much to the chagrin of literally every defensive lineman and fan of NFC teams. Lane Jensen, second best tackle in the division. Andrew Thomas is obviously the best. The Giants' offensive line could be better than third. I think Evan Neal is going to have a better year. I really like John Michael Schmitz for them, but still just very unproven. Cowboys are also still a very good offensive line, so I do rank them ahead. And then for Washington, they don't have any returning starters except for their left tackle. They're definitely worse in the division there. I cannot put them any higher than that. And you guys already knew how this one was going to go. The Giants have 2 of the 3 top tight ends in the division with Darren Waller and Daniel Bellinger. Dallas Goedert's up there too. That's why Philly's second. But Washington doesn't really have much. They still have Logan Thomas. And I think, who's Dallas running out there? Ferguson, right? That's who or Shoemaker maybe? I don't know who they're actually going to play. But yeah, I'm excited that the Giants have 2 of the best 3 tight ends in the division, and the 12 personnel they're going to be able to run off of that. Bellinger might have more touchdowns than Waller just for in the red zone alone. I'm very excited for this room. This is our number 1 receiver. Darren Waller is, I should say, not Daniel Bellinger. He is, part of the reason where you see the next slide where we rank, he's part of the reason I still feel okay with where our offense is going to be. Here's where Commanders fans might be mad with me again. You can see the rankings right there. I have A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, and CeeDee Lamb as the 3 best receivers in the division. There's not really much of a question with 1 or 2. I think that's pretty obvious. I like Brandon Cooks. I just don't think he's as good as Devontae Smith for the wide receiver 2 position. And then I think A.J. Brown is better than CeeDee Lamb. The question, at least for me, is who is the 3rd best team in the division at receiver? A lot of people are going to put Washington. They're going to think I'm crazy. I view it as, yes, Terry McLaurin is better than any receiver on the Giants, and you could probably argue that Jahan Dotson has a higher ceiling than anybody, except for Jalen Hyatt, I'd say. But that's just the front 3, and this is overall. So I want you guys to listen to the back 4 for the Commanders. So it's Diami Brown, Dax Milne, Byron Pringle, and Mitchell Tinsley. The back 4 receivers for the Giants are Cole Beasley, Sterling Shepard, Jalen Hyatt, and Wan'Dale Robinson. So it's kind of more of a depth thing. It's not just who our starters are, but even then, I like Curtis Samuel and Jahan Dotson. They're not guys yet. They're solid, just like I'd say Paris Campbell and Darius Slayton are. They're solid guys. But I know I'm still going to catch a lot of flack for that, so we'll just move on to the next one anyway. And this one kind of hurts a little bit too. You were hoping Saquon could carry our room to best overall in the division, but the Eagles they have better depth there. So he is the best running back in the division, and Tony Pollard and DeAndre Swift, they're good running backs too. I like Brian Robinson. He's just not a top 3 running back in the division. But Saquon and the Giants could be pushing for second. I think the Eagles have better depth right now. And again, here's another one. People are going to be mad, but I'm just being honest. I do have Jalen Hurts as the best quarterback in the division. I think that's undisputed right now. A lot of Giants fans will try to tell you it's not. I just think he's at least shown that he can, play at that top level, even if he isn't a guy at that top level. I don't think Dak has shown that he can play at that top level. So that's why I have him as the 3rd best quarterback in the division. I have Daniel Jones ranked higher than Dak Prescott. And honestly, the simple matter is I just think they're going to have similar passing numbers, but Daniel Jones is just a better rusher. I think with the 2 offenses, I think the Giants are going to want to pass a lot more this year, and it sounds like the Cowboys want to run a lot more with Tony Pollard in that offensive line. So I think that Daniel Jones and Dak Prescott are going to have similar passing numbers, but Daniel Jones is also going to have really good rushing numbers, over 500, 600 yards again. And I think he'll have less touchdowns. He had like 7 last year. I think that was a lot of just red zone, running in real quick. I think that'll probably go to the passing game or Saquon this time. But I still think he's going to have 3, 4, maybe 5 rushing touchdowns. I just think he's better than Dak Prescott. Yeah, not even much to say here. I don't think there's much argument. Brian Daboll is the best coach in the NFC East. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. Andy Reid, those kind of guys. Those are the guys that are higher. Nick Sirianni is overrated as hell. I would love to see what Brian Daboll could do with the Eagles roster, and I would hate to see what Nick Sirianni does with the Giants roster. That would be awful. It'd be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I do not believe for a second that he is in the same league as Brian Daboll. And for Cowboys fans wondering where Mike McCarthy is on that top 3, he's not. And there were I saw multiple Cowboys games last year where Mike McCarthy lost the Cowboys games from his coaching decisions. And I just think Eric Bieniemy is probably the 3rd best coach up here. You could make an argument for Wink, maybe Kafka. He's a really smart guy. I think he's going to be a head coach within a year or 2 probably. But I had to put Bieniemy over him because he's just more experienced. Even though I don't think he's calling the plays in Washington. I think it's his system. But he's still not calling the plays, and he's still ahead of Mike McCarthy. So, Cowboys fans, I don't know, take that how you want, but yeah, it's not a good look that the 3rd best coach in the division is, Eric Bieniemy. And guys, that is the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to try to have another video up in a couple days. Not sure what it's going to be about just yet. But then, hey, next week I'm going to be uploading my first preview for the Dallas Cowboys game. And really looking forward to that. I hope you are too. I hope you'll come by and watch these next couple videos. And look, some of you might have hated that I put Daniel Jones ahead of Dak, but DJ is a good quarterback, and there should not be any discussion about that. The question is, how good can he be? Does he have top 5 potential, or is he more in that 8 to 12 range with guys like Dak, Kirk, and Geno Smith? If you want to say he's fine, I just don't see him ever becoming a difference maker, that's a completely reasonable and valid take. I have no problem with that. It just feels like there are still so many people who say he's straight up bad, and that's when you lose me. He's not a bad quarterback. I don't think these people are actually watching him and seeing what he's doing, and I honestly don't think they could tell you what he's doing wrong without even using a stat. That's all they're doing is stat watching. Yes, he only threw 15 touchdowns. You have to understand how bad his supporting cast was. He was dealing with this for an offensive line. And this for wide receivers. I'm not saying everything has to be perfect around him, but for the last few years we were saying, man, can he just get a little something? I think he finally does.